Governor Chris Christie in New Jersey is in a bit of trouble. He's running, of course, for president in 2016. He's made waves in that direction, so this scandal in his home state might hurt him significantly. So what happened? Well, it turns out the Democratic mayor of Fort Lee, New Jersey, decided not to support his re-election effort, Governor Chris Christie's. Now, it makes sense. Christie's a Republican. The mayor is a Democrat. In fact, the mayor hadn't even decided, apparently, but Christie's folks assumed that he had and that he was against Chris Christie. So they decided that it was time for retribution. So they closed down 2 of the 3 lanes to the George Washington Bridge leading into Fort Lee. Now, this is a bit of a problem because the George Washington Bridge is literally the busiest bridge in America. And they closed it down on September 9th. What a wild coincidence. That turned out to be the first day of school. So, gigantic traffic jams in Fort Lee. I'll tell you about the consequences of that in a second. Now, we have some of the internal emails. That's part of why we know it actually happened. It was arranged, it appears, by Bridget Ann Kelly, who is Deputy Chief of Staff for Governor Chris Christie, so really high up. Now, in an August 13th email, she emails David Wildstein, who got appointed to the Port Authority that handles bridges, tunnels, etc., from the New Jersey side. Now, David Wildstein is a longtime supporter of Governor Christie, and it was even a college classmate of his, right? So Kelly emails Wildstein and says, quote, "Time for some traffic problems in Fort Lee." Oh man, that is so Jersey, right? So David Wildstein emails back, "Got it." And apparently he did, because all of a sudden, previously unannounced, they have to do a study that means that they have to close those 2 lanes. So Wildstein takes that action. And so when the mayor of Fort Lee starts to complain, he instructs everyone in an email to give the mayor, quote, "radio silence." In other words, don't tell the guy what's happening. We're not going to let him know. Apparently, they also didn't let the head of the Port Authority know. Now, the Port Authority, if you don't live in the area, is run by New York and New Jersey together because it's the bridges and tunnels that connect those 2 states, right? So the head of the Port Authority is actually appointed by Andrew Cuomo, who's a Democrat in New York. And he asked them, what is this study you're talking about? We're not doing any study. We hadn't planned this. Well, they say, oh yeah, we're studying something. And when they look into it, it's a traffic issue 25 miles away. There is no such study. It had nothing to do with Fort Lee. This is political retribution. Now, more emails that prove the case. One of the guys who helped Wildstein close the bridge emails him and says, when they see the massive traffic problems in the beginning of September, quote, "Is it wrong that I'm smiling?" By the way, the correct answer is yes. But Wildstein writes back, "No." And then the guy says, "Well, I feel badly about the kids, I guess." Now, of course, the kids couldn't get to school on time. That's why they made sure to do it on the first day of school, so it would be an even bigger mess. Now, Wildstein writes back to him, "Don't worry about it. They're the children of Buono voters." Buono is a Democrat running against Chris Christie for governor. Now, Christie won, and to show you how stupid Wildstein and his gang are, turns out, no, the majority of Jersey City voters actually voted for Chris Christie. Oops. And then, as if all of that wasn't bad enough, David Wildstein writes, "It'll be a tough November for this little Serbian," referring to the mayor of Fort Lee, who is Croatian. Now, that would be offensive to the Serbian community, the Croatian community, and to every other community. These guys are total and utter knuckleheads. When Chris Christie's asked about this, initially he says, yeah, right. Quote, "National Democrats will make it an issue about everything about me. So get used to the new world, everybody." Because no, this isn't Chris Christie and his henchmen doing political retribution Jersey style. No, it's the fault of the Democrats for complaining about it. You see that? Today, Chris Christie was scheduled to do a press conference in Ocean County, New Jersey on a different event about Sandy Hook reconstruction, actually. No show. They said Christie was hiding. Sometimes a difficult task for Chris Christie. I applaud him for the effort. Now, Fort Lee's mayor, Mark Sokolich, the little Serbian, according to Christie's guys, he says, very rightly so, and look at what I've been saying, and look, I'm from Jersey, right? And I don't like the reputation Jersey has for corruption, but apparently this is how it was earned. And he says, and look, by the way, congratulations. You've now set New Jersey back 20 years and guaranteed us to be the brunt of political misconduct jokes that we've been hearing about all these years, just when we thought we were moving in the right direction. Now, what were some of the actual consequences of that traffic shutdown? Well, Mother Jones had a very good story about that. Illa Koskovsky, a Fort Lee councilwoman, well, she was of course mad about it. She tells Mother Jones that ambulances and other emergency vehicles could not get through the gridlock. And if you think about it, that makes a lot of sense, right? If you've got massive gridlock, nobody's moving anywhere, and God forbid there's an accident or there's some sort of medical emergency, how are those vehicles going to get through? Okay, now this is afterwards, and it's Jan Goldberg as well, Fort Lee councilman, and he says there was a missing child that day. The police had trouble conducting that search because they were tied up directing traffic. Now that's true, there was a 4-year-old missing that day. Luckily they were able to find her later in the day. Okay, now you might say, hey look, those are political opponents, those are people from Fort Lee, they're pissed about this, etc. But listen to what the police chief in Fort Lee said when it was happening, in September, when they had no idea that it was political. He said, quote, "On Monday, while all this was going on, we had to contend with a missing 4-year-old, a cardiac arrest requiring an ambulance, and a car running up against a building. What would happen if there was a very serious accident?" So this wasn't just like, hey, let's have fun and do a little political payback and sad day for you, okay? I understand that those kind of things happen, but you can't play with the lives of the people in that town. And you remember, you're the governor of that state. You're also representing those people, and by the way, they voted for you. Apparently that was a mistake. And so, and it's not like they didn't know. At the time the mayor raises these issues and says, look, all the school buses are backed up and the kids can't get to school, etc., sends that note to Wilstein at the Port Authority. And you know what he says? He says to a colleague, quote, "Bottom line is, he didn't say safety." Like, ha, if he had said safety, maybe we would have had to do something. But since he didn't say the magic words, we're going to snarl up that traffic. Now, they had planned to do this for a long time. They did it for 4 days. Then on September 13th, the head of the Port Authority stepped in and said, there's no study. We're not studying anything about the George Washington Bridge. This is nonsense, and I'm putting an end to it. And of course, Wilstein and everybody else in the Christie office that was emailing about this were livid. They're like, what? How dare he do this? Why wouldn't he do it? That's his job, is to make sure things run smoothly. So this was a horrible job by the Christie people. But will they admit it? And we got that answer late today. Chris Christie came in and said, oh, this was happening? Oh, I had no idea. Of course not. He says, quote, "One thing is clear, this type of behavior is unacceptable, and I will not tolerate it because the people of New Jersey deserve better. This behavior is not representative of me or my administration in any way, except for the people I threw under the bus today." Oh, he didn't add that part. "And people will be held responsible for their actions." It's funny how all of a sudden Chris Christie found out about this and is really angry about it only after the press found out and have been on hounding him for a month. Before, when it was happening, oh, Chris, me? Oh, there's problems in Fort Lee? Oh, I guess I didn't get the mayor's emails. Oh, really? So I guess you were incompetent. You didn't look into it at all to see if there actually was a study or they'd made it up, etc., right? So all of a sudden, Chris Christie, that had been ignoring the problem altogether and had been saying it was a Democratic plot against him, now finds out today, after all of this press scrutiny, that golly gee willikers, the people underneath him had been actually doing political payback against his opponents. That's the first time Chris Christie. In fact, look at this next quote. Quote, "What I've seen today, for the first time, is unacceptable. I'm outraged and deeply saddened to learn that not only was I misled by a member of my staff, but this completely inappropriate and unsanctioned conduct was made without my knowledge." I'm sure that you are deeply saddened by what has happened to your 2016 prospects. So if you believe that Chris Christie didn't know anything about this from the beginning, I've got a bridge in Fort Lee to sell you.